This is another Read Me Something reward for Reich E. Spore's Patreon. We are reading from my space opera, Demons of the Past, Revelation. Chapter 14, Talon. Talon watched as Sachem Vran exited from the great gates of Silent Laria, turned with that characteristic precision, and executed a perfect 6-1 to the monitor who'd let him out, before turning and trotting down the wide white steps to the waiting street wing. "Talon, thanks for coming to get me." "No thanks needed, Sash. Everyone's looking forward to seeing you, and most of them are worried they'll have to try to walk the mist so as not to upset you." His friend's face seemed to lose a bit of its usual animation for a moment, but the brightness which had slowly reemerged in their travels returned. "No, I'll bring up the subject myself if I have to. Diori wouldn't want that." Talon smiled slightly, pleased, as he noted that Sachem had finally said Diori's name without hesitating. "No, really, Talon, I'm not totally over it. And maybe I never really will be. But I'm not broken anymore." "Good, because now that you're here, we intend to make it a great vacation for you." Sachem glanced over at him with an expression of concern. "Hey, I'm not one of the 5 families, Talon. I'm here for some Tower's hidden secret project and to do a lot of work, not visit with friends." "Don't worry so much, Sash. Sure, you've got work to do. So do we in the families, you know. And that's exactly why you'll be spending a lot of time with us and the Delatamas and so on." As Talon expected, Sachem immediately acquired that half-pleased, half-embarrassed, self-deprecating look which, in 99% of the humanoid population of the galaxy, would be a pretty deliberate act, but in Sachem Vran's case only showed exactly what the Coriolan Navy officer felt. "Toland's swords, Talon," he muttered, and it took considerable self-control for Talon not to giggle at his friend's favorite, yet utterly old-fashioned curse. "I just barely make it out of that disaster alive through some freak of luck, and then Shagrath's talking about my possibly getting the directorship, and you're talking about keeping me at high-profile parties when I'm not working? Don't you know how bad that'll make me look? Like I'm trying to leap into the families or something?" Talon pulled the street wing out of the standard air lane and parked it, floating in the late afternoon sunshine above gold and rose-tinted clouds, lights just becoming visible in the shaded land below. "Sash, you are such an idiot sometimes, you know? I put up with it because you're an idiot for such incredibly upright reasons." He smiled in exasperated fondness at the almost hurt look. "Sachem Vran, you great blank-eyed innocent, that's exactly what it should look like, because we've been trying to get through a nomination for you for years. You think my parents forgot you might have saved me from Katasi, or maybe even worse that time on Willis? That the family stopped looking for the best of the best? If you were anyone else, I'd think you were just playing for me to say this, but sad to say, you're just that way. I mean, believe me, the families, the 5, the great, the lesser, are all real happy to have people like you under us, the foundation of the empire. But we keep the families the way they are by making sure that the best get to become part of the families. The Emperor had told us we had to wait until you did something else that would make it worthwhile, just one more bit of proof that you were family material. But he accepted our confidence and had set the proper possibilities in motion for whenever you did something notable. He touched the controls and set the street wing in motion again. And then you went and pulled off something so impossible that we almost needn't have bothered starting the process earlier." Sachem stared ahead out the windscreen, his cheeks noticeably darker despite their naturally dark tint. "See? You're embarrassed. You're about to tell me, again, that it's just dumb luck, that you're hardly worthy. Well, let me tell you, that's the kind of attitude we need in the families more. The older ones, mine included, sometimes forget that we're no different than regular people out there. We're supposed to be smarter, better, faster, all that, but, well, sometimes I'm not so sure. I'm sinking sure that we won't be that way if we don't keep looking for the best and bringing it to the top." "Well," Vran finally said slowly, "I know Mom and Dad would love to hear that I made it." "Of course they would. It's the dream of everyone at that level. But there's so few chances that people basically mostly give up or just don't understand how it works. It's the ones that don't pay any attention to that possibility but make the grade anyway that my dad said we should watch for. And that's you. By your own favorite sword, Sasham, we talked for a while about whether Michelle should allow you to pledge to her, since... What? If anything, Sasham looked more stunned than he had when Talon first surprised him in his cabin. You have a problem with my sister, Varan? Talon said, mock seriously. Not good enough for you? I didn't. That's not... Oh, stop looking so shocked. I know your people only marry for love, not politics, but it's not like we'd have asked her to do it if she found the idea repulsive. She thinks you're sweet. And that would have been a perfect way to bring you in without having to argue with the family councils. He heard Sasha mutter, "Twirling swords" again before his friend settled down into thoughtful silence, the old-fashioned oath reminding him of their little recurring religious debate, and he grinned. He did have to admit the few Atlantean relics that had survived were often impressive enough to make you understand the religious awe some attached to the long-vanished civilization. He'd actually been on board one of the few remaining Atlantean warships, the Naiadea, and there was something about it that was unmistakably different. The corridors, older far than even the ancient Imperial Palace, still shone as though they'd been forged yesterday. Light glowed from the walls or ceiling as needed, as though the ship itself knew exactly how much light you needed and where. It responded to commands as though it was a fighter, not a warship 20 kilometers across, and by some mechanism still not understood was able to bring Talon, or anyone else for that matter, on board and send them back to the surface of Oro without need for a shuttle. Just blink, there I am, and blink, now I'm back. The strange teleportation device did not work through battle shielding, either long-shot barrier or gradient shields, a somewhat comforting fact, but it was still a mystery as to how it worked. Talon glanced over at Sasham, seeing his friend was still gazing outside without really seeing anything. He also didn't say anything about his talk with the Prime Monitor yet. Well, I'm sure we'll have a chance to talk that out later. He guided the street wing around a large cloud, rose-tinted in the sunset, and noted the indicators on his implanted field of view showed that he was approaching the estate. Okay, enough letting your head wander the stars, Sash, he said. We're about to land, and you're going to enjoy yourself if I have to drag you to every party on Oro. I'm doomed, then. You certainly are. The street wing settled to its accustomed location near the entrance of the Meltasny mansion. Talon had barely popped the canopy when the doors burst open. Sasham! Sasham! Welcome! 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 Michelle was first, smiling, embracing Varan tightly. Talon smiled as he saw Sasham's face darken again, even as he hugged her back. He was obviously still thinking about the fact that Michelle had been considering pledging to him, and even Talon had to admit that his tall, slender sister with her cascade of black hair and dusky skin was stunningly attractive. Sasham was saved from any more potential embarrassment, at least from that source, by the arrival of Lucas. Sasham, good to see you. His brother gripped Sasham's forearms tightly and spoke quietly. We're all sorry, terribly sorry, and I hope you will heal soon. All of us, agreed Michelle, looking slightly put out that Luke had beat her to the condolences. Thanks. Thank you, all of you. But Sasham didn't get to finish whatever he was going to say, because this time Treyuse cannonballed into him, almost knocking him down. And right behind her was Irel, Talon's mother, and a mob of other guests, all of whom knew Sasham more or less well. In the middle of the sea of greetings and condolences and social questions, Sasham finally caught his gaze long enough to fix him with an accusing stare, a stare to which Talon responded with an innocently clueless gaze. Varan's eyes narrowed, though with a humorous glint, and he mouthed something that appeared to include the Atlantean word sit-ai, which meant avenged or vengeance. Talon laughed and followed the crowd in. He can try to get all the revenge he wants, but right now I think he is feeling better than he has since it's all happened, and that makes everything worth it.